welcome to Used Bike Heaven, the show that takes the worry out of finding the right second-hand bike for you. Each week we give one lucky viewer the chance to test ride 3 bikes that'll fit their lifestyle, needs and most importantly, their pocket. So he'll be like a kid in a candy store when he sees what we've got for him today, so let's get acquainted. For this week's show we've tracked down a selection of 600s for our lucky viewer. This is David Reynolds. He's a 35-year-old from Colburn in North Yorkshire. He passed his test 3 years ago and currently owns a GSX Sv650 S, but he's looking for something a little more forgiving and a bit more comfortable. Let's hope he likes what we have on offer this week. And as usual, to help David pick the right bike, our top techie Dr. Rod will be on hand to offer his advice.
Join me later when I'll be looking at potential problems and pitfalls with the 3 bikes that Dave's going to be testing. So I'll be back in part 2.
And at the end of the show, once David has chosen his favourite from our 3 suggestions, he'll be going into the showroom to talk to the dealer about securing a deal on the bike of his choice. And our Stephen Paul will be on hand to offer suggestions and tips on how to negotiate the best deal.
That's right, Fran, because some of these bike dealers, believe it or not, you'll be stunned by this, but some of them can be unscrupulous at times. You know, the markup on some of these second-hand machines is massive sometimes.
And that's why we are here, hidden away in our bunker, on hand, ready to give the wealth of our knowledge and some decent advice to guide the potential buyer through the murky waters of the second-hand bike market.
Thanks, guys. So, David, you're looking for a sporty tourer, something that's a little bit more comfortable.
Yeah, just something newer.
Right, OK, and you've got a budget of 3, but you would stretch to 3.5.
At a stretch, yeah.
OK, well, let's go and see what bikes we've got on offer for you this week.
Thank you.
First up, it's Honda's top-selling model, the CBR 600. Although it's not strictly classed as a sports tourer, we thought we'd chuck this one in for good measure, as a kind of alternative. The CBRs are extremely popular bikes because, as with most Japanese bikes, they're well documented for their comfort, practicality and, most importantly, their reliability, which would suit you and your needs perfectly, David. This week's CBR is a 1996 registered, and it's the cheapest of our 3 examples. It comes in at $2,695. Next up, we have the Suzuki Sv650 S. Unlike the standard 650, the S has benefited from a bit of a revamp, losing the curves, thus creating a new angular look, and changing the handlebars and footrests for a sportier riding position. The gearing is also higher, which should make longer journeys on motorways more relaxing. This SV is a 2000 model, and at $3,600 is over your budget. But what can you do if you fall in love? Last but by no means least is Honda's top-selling sports tourer of the 90s and Cruella's favourite steed, the Deville. It's a comfortable armchair and very much more manageable than its lumbering big brother of a settee, the Pan-European. And with second-hand prices stronger than a Swiss Gold Reserve, you'll not lose a lot in depreciation. Why do people want them so much? Because they're brilliant at what they do. This week's example is a 2000 model and comes in at £3,500. Well, enough of those boring facts. It's time to set you off, David, on the CBR. But firstly, what do you think of it?
Very nice looking bike. Not quite what I'm used to, but I'm looking forward to trying it.
Yes, it is a very snazzy looking thing, isn't it?
Very eye-catching and a lot lighter than mine.
Yeah, you'll be going a lot faster.
Yeah, hold me down.
It's quite interesting though. It's going to be interesting to know what you think about that. But I mean, it's not the tourer style.
No, it's a lot more laid down, a bit more than mine anyway.
You're probably fine though. You'd be happy to do quite a few miles on it.
I'd like to try.
OK, we'll get your helmet on and let's see what you think.
Thank you.
OK.
The performance on this Honda CBR6 is next to nothing. It's something I haven't witnessed before, and it's something I would like to witness again. The handling on it, you feel you can... I feel as though I can just throw the bike anywhere and I'm going to stay with the bike and it's going to stay with me. The balance, it gives me loads of confidence for a style of riding I'm not used to, and I just want to lean it further and put my knee down. If you leave your braking late on this, it just gives you the confidence knowing that the brakes are still going to stop you and slow you down in time for a corner. The comfort side, again, I was impressed with the comfort for the riding position. It's something I'm not used to, but you just want to stay on the bike and just ride it further.
So David, to help you make your final decision, we're going to give each bike points out of 10 in various categories. What do you give the CBR?
Right, Fran, this is the CBR 600 and the scores I've given it are these. For style, 8 out of 10 because it's got a very nice paint job and it looks the business. Performance, I've given 9 out of 10 because you open the throttle and away it goes. Ride, 9 out of 10 because wherever you want to go, the bike will go. Practicality, 6 out of 10 because it's not very practical, but it is fun. And the price on this particular one, 7 out of 10 because it's fairly good. It's had a few modifications and can get a good deal on it.
So that was the CBR 600. Next up is the Suzuki Sv650 S. What do you think of the looks of this one then, David?
Very nice. Yeah, and the colour.
Does that do it for you?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Smart looking bike, isn't it?
It is very nice looking.
Yeah. Comfy?
Tall. Very
Right.
tall.
Taller than the CBR?
A lot taller, yeah.
Yeah?
I think I'd, being only short, I think I might struggle.
You won't struggle. Now, what do you think of this kind of half fair, the bikini fairing? What do you think of that?
I'd need to get used to it, I think. It's got a street fighter look to me,
Yeah?
not a sports tourer.
Right. Well, don't get all mean on us. Don't get all street fighty on us. Get your helmet on and let us know what you think to it.
Okay.
Okay?
Well, the performance on this Sv650 isn't quite what I'm used to, but it's not bad. It is a little bit jerky, but I think I could live with it. And the handling when you throw it into a corner, it's not as bad as I thought it would be. So yeah, I'm quite impressed with this. The balance for a tall-looking bike, I thought it wouldn't balance very well, but I'm quite impressed with the balance. It doesn't want to throw me off the bike. The comfort, again, for a tall bike isn't very uncomfortable. It is a bike I could live with, but I would need to get used to it.
So, David, you've just been out on the very pretty and yet very mean-looking Suzuki. We need to know what points you're going to give it.
Right, Fran. For style, I've given it 9 out of 10. This bike does look good. Loads of street cred. Performance, I've given 6 out of 10 because I actually found it a bit jerky. It wasn't very smooth at all. The ride, 5 out of 10. I've probably been a bit cruel because of the engine braking. They're not very smooth. Practicality, not very practical, but once I get used to the bike, I think it'll be quite fun to ride. The price on this particular one, I've given 8 out of 10 because I do actually think it's very good value for money on this particular bike.
That's it for part 1. Join us in 2 when we see David put the Honda Deauville to the test and see how it shapes up against the CBR and the Sv650. Isn't that right, David?
That's right, Fran.
Join us after the break. Welcome back to Used Bike Heaven. This week, David from Yorkshire, who owns a GSX 600, is putting 3 bikes to the test in the shape of sporty tourers. If you were with us before the break, you'll know he's already tried his luck with the CBR 600, the Sv650, and his third and final test is the Honda Deauville. David, what do you think of the looks of this one?
It looks big, heavy and sluggish.
But it's the tourer end of the range, isn't it, this one?
A bit more sit up and beg.
Yeah.
So,
You could do plenty of miles on this. Lots of fairing to keep you protected. Panniers for your luggage.
plenty of storage, not what you expect on a bike.
No.
Something I'd need to try to get used to.
Yeah? Am I talking you into it yet?
Slowly.
Well, get your helmet on and let me know what you think.
Will do.
Okay?
The performance on the Honda Deauville, I'm not really impressed with. There doesn't seem to be any. I keep wanting to drop it down a gear to accelerate more, and it just doesn't seem to want to go. The handling, for a heavy bike, the handling I didn't actually find too bad, because you don't really feel the weight of it once you're actually moving. The braking isn't too bad. The brakes are actually quite effective on it. But again, they're having to stop quite a heavy bike. And the comfort, it is actually quite a comfortable bike. I could quite imagine myself riding this bike up and down the motorway, the dual carriageway, and riding it for many miles. So on the comfort side, it is a very comfortable bike.
And last but not least, David, the very practical looking Honda Deauville. Should we go to the scoreboards?
For style, 6 out of 10 doesn't really do a lot for me. The performance, again 6 out of 10. Still not very responsive at all, a little bit sluggish. The ride, it was actually quite comfortable. I've given that 7 out of 10. Quite impressed with the comfort on it for a sit upright. Practicality, I've given 9 out of 10. Definitely the most practical bike of the three. The price, I've given this 8 out of 10. Again, I did actually think on this particular bike it was very good value for money.
So David, in third place on the scoreboard, the Honda Deauville. What was wrong with it?
Age-old problem, felt heavy, didn't feel stable for me.
Not enough control over it. In second place, the Suzuki Sv650.
Nice looking, just not smooth enough.
No, a bit jerky.
Yeah, just a bit.
And overall winner on the scoreboard is the CBR.
Quite impressed.
Yeah, surprisingly so.
I am very.
Well, before you make your final decision, we're going to go to our very own Dr. Rod, who's going to give you a recap of each bike and some advice on the pros and cons of second-hand ownership.
Honda's CBR600F has been a big seller for many years, and with good reason. It's a brilliant all-rounder with real sporting performance and top-class build quality. These bikes are almost unburstable, which means some examples have taken quite a lot of abuse. Do check the service history carefully to make sure yours isn't one of them. Like any sports bike, it will respond well to time getting the setup just right, and do be prepared for some high servicing costs. Servicing the engine properly means half the bike has to be stripped down, and replacement spark plugs are among the most expensive on the planet. But by a nice clean example, look after it well and it will hold its value better than lots of the opposition. Suzuki's Middleweight 650 V-twin is rapidly beginning to acquire cult status. A flexible, punchy engine, lightweight and razor-sharp handling make it the ideal all-rounder if you don't want 4 cylinders. The low seat height also makes it ideal for those a little shorter in the leg department. Where you may have to spend money is on the suspension, which is a little too soft on the standard factory settings. The Sv650 also responds well to a change to grippier tyres. Finish isn't quite as good as you'll get with some other bikes too, but in terms of miles per mile, the Sv650 does deliver, and it won't let you down. The Deauville is a great all-rounder, but it does look a little staid compared to some of its sportier rivals. Sensible, not thrilling, is the name of the game here. It does come with shaft drive and built-in hard luggage though, so it does make an excellent middleweight tourer, and you can pick them up for a song. The Deauville isn't an expensive bike to run, but do watch out for those servicing charges. All of those plastic panels have to come off each time the bike is serviced, which does mean it ups the hours spent in the workshop and it makes life quite tedious for your mechanic. The V-twin engine also has twin plug heads, which means it's no cheaper to service than a 4. And also be very careful when you park this bike on the prop stand, for even a minor spill can do lots of expensive damage to the fairing and panniers.
So David, it's final decision time. Has Rod swayed you at all?
Definitely not. I'm sticking with a Honda CBR 600.
I knew you'd say that. I thought you were a man that stuck to his guns. You better have the keys and go and do the deal. And don't forget, Steve and Paul will be on hand to give you advice should you need them at any point.
Cheers, Fran.
Okay? Isn't that right, boys?
Absolutely, Fran, yes, we'll look after him, won't we, Steve?
We certainly will.
He'll be all right, Dave.
So, do you think Dave's made a good or bad decision?
What do you reckon? He's coming off a GSX 600F.
He is, so he probably wasn't going to like the Sv650 anyway.
Because it's a twin.
Because it's a twin, he'd probably think, what's wrong with this?
Anyway, he's going in now,
there we
so
go.
See how he gets on.
Hi, David. All right.
Hello.
So,
I've been out on your Honda CBR 600
right.
and I like it.
He looks excited by the prospects of CBR 600 ownership.
Well, funnily enough, that's the bike that we thought that you would end up buying or
Really?
liking the best. Yeah, we had a bit of a talk between us in the sales department before, and that's the one we reckoned. So, well, the bike. First of all, I need to tell you the bike's an import. It's not a UK bike. It's actually an import bike. So that's why the speedometer's in kilometres with the bike on. Okay.
Yeah, but is it a Japanese import or is it an import from Europe? Is it a bike that a squaddy's brought over from Germany or is it a Japanese? Which he needs to know.
We don't know that, do we?
Because I remember a lot of lads were bringing bikes in from Germany as well
Yeah.
as the stuff that was coming in from Japan.
That's true, yeah.
So, normally something like that CBR 600, because it's in nice condition. It's got the can on it.
Yeah.
The previous guy in January spent £700 servicing it. He's had a full service on it.
He spent 700 quid on
For a Honda? 700 quid?
Major overhaul, I'd have said.
Yeah.
It's had 2 owners. Normally, if it was a UK bike, that bike would sell for about 2.9. We've got it up at 2,695, so I think that's a reasonable price for the bike anyway.
That's not enough. That's not enough of a reduction, I don't think.
£205, that's all.
What we do with all our bikes before they go out is we'll give them a full service to make sure that the service schedule's up.
He's going to service it again?
Just had
Why?
700 quid spent on it.
What's wrong with it?
We give the bike a warranty, and on that bike I would give you 6 months parts and labour warranty.
Right.
That's not bad on an Emridge bike, is it?
No, it's not, because it could just
10-year-old
go
nearly.
bang tomorrow, couldn't it?
Whatever tax is on it, if there's no tax on it, then you would pay for the tax, but if there's tax on it, then you get the tax with it. And I think, if I remember, that bike's taxed till the end of July.
It has got tax left on it.
Tax on that.
Yeah.
They're getting hung up on a bit of tax, aren't they? There's,
But
there's
tax
more
is-
important
tax is
things
nothing, is it,
to-
on a bike,
no,
really,
not
you
on a
know?
bike.
So that's where I'd be on the bike. I'd look for, we've got it up at 2,695, it'd go fully serviced and 6 months guarantee with roadside recovery on it as well.
Well, the service is irrelevant. He's just said it had a major 700 quid service
Yeah.
a few weeks ago. Now he wants to service it again and make out that's some part of super deal.
To keep the warranty valid, would I need to actually bring the bike down here to get it serviced? Could I service it locally at a
Yeah, it's
local garage?
It's a Honda Care warranty. It's backed
Right.
by the AA and Honda.
On an import?
Well, he says it's there, isn't
Yeah,
it?
he's there.
And basically it replicates the warranty that you get if you bought the bike new from us, a new Honda. The claim limit's up to the value of the bike, and you can have it serviced anywhere just if you keep the normal Honda service schedule up, which is every 4,000 miles or 12 months. So that bike would next need servicing after us in either 4,000 miles time or 12 months time, and you can have that done
Right.
anywhere.
I think this idea that a Honda CBR 600 is going to like fall in bits or explode all of a sudden, it's all a bit, all this stuff about warranties and servicing. Get the price down!
And finally, on the figure side of it, I would actually be looking at part X in a motorcycle
Right.
against that. I noticed that it's quite an old bike, obviously on an end plate. with it being old, can you still get a finance deal on a bike that age?
Yeah, so we can provide you finance terms on that quite at good, reasonable rates.
They finance you a rudge, won't they?
Well, they
If you
finance
wanted
anything.
one,
That's what they're not interested in cash. They want.
Don't
they
matter how
want
old the bike
finance.
is.
As for your bike, which you want to part exchange, you just, I mean, obviously I'll need to see it, have a look round it and appraise it, but I'll be able to give you a rough idea of what it's worth if you give me some details on it.
The bike in question would be a M-Reg Suzuki Sv650 S.
I would think that that bike, how many miles has it done, Dave?
24 and a half.
Right. I would think that that bike would be worth, against our bike, somewhere in the region of 1,500 quid without seeing it.
He wants 17 really.
He does, doesn't he?
So we're looking at not a lot left to pay on the
Correct.
CBR then.
Yeah.
Don't say
No,
that.
don't. Yeah.
You should have been sharp
see-
and take a breath and bite the table,
You
shouldn't
see-
he?
He said 1,500. He should have said no. I want 17, and he should have met him in the middle and got 16.
So does that sound like a deal?
That sounds like a very good deal.
All right, mate.
Thank you very much, Dave.
Good. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All that business about warranties and servicing and the prices, he was going, oh yeah, that's cheap. Oh, give me 1,500 quid on it, bike. Oh, thanks, mate. Dear, oh dear. Needs a lesson in bargaining.
I think so.
Needs to
Yeah.
come on Berry Market with me, that lad.
So it looks like David's going to go for the CBR, yet another satisfied customer. While he's in there sorting out the fine details, I'm going to reward myself with a blast on the SV. See you next week for some more Used Bike Heaven.